Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm colouring this beautiful image created by Jade Elizabeth from Colour Me Forum today. Hope you enjoy it. Hi guys, I was actually contacted by Jade Elizabeth of Colour Me Forum to perhaps colour one of her images because she felt that people didn't see how they could look real from how you do colour it. So I've said to her that I would love to colour some images from her. So this is one of the first ones that I picked. Her name's Sandy. I will pop the links to the website and things like that in the description below as well, so check that out. So I decided to do Copics because I like Copics so much, as you all know, and I could get a nice sort of natural looking real sort of person by using those, which you can do with lots of different mediums, of course, but I just wanted to show how something that looks quite cartoonish like this could end up looking something nice and real looking as well. So I'm just coming in now and I'm just filling out all of the skin area with E000 just to lay down my base layer first. So it turns out that Jade is actually from Australia, Victoria. She actually lives not far from me, which is quite funny how small a world it is. Yeah, she's a lovely, lovely girl. She has some beautiful images. And she also does a lot of mandala style patterns and things like that as well, so something to also check out while you're there. I'm still coming in with that E000. I've had to refill my marker again. Being a larger A4 image, I ran out pretty quick from previous images as well, so I've just filled that up again. But yeah, I'm just coming in rough layer. I'm not stressing too much about having it all nice and smooth or anything like that, because we're going to come over it with a few layers of colour anyway. So I'm going to bring in my darkest colour now. This will be my shadow colour. I'm going to use some E04 to bring in those car shadows and any areas where I want it to be darker. So generally I'll be looking at the dips in the cheeks, underneath the cheekbones, also around the eye areas and underneath the chin. Also I'm going to put a little bit of a line on the chin as well, and also like with the collarbone and all the shadows of the clothes and things like that as well. So I'll also put some marks in for like muscles on the arms and things like that to give it a little bit more of a 3D sort of a look, I guess, and just putting a couple of spots here under the nose as well. So when I do the nose, I just sort of my chin just went a little bit wonky there, but that's all good. We can cover all that up. With the eyes, I generally sort of do a bit of a C shape towards the eyebrow from the bottom of the nose. So that's all I'm doing in here. Depends on the picture, the image, sorry, and what kind of sort of bottom of the nose they fill in. So for this one, I've just done that. So I'm just putting it a little bit more, as I said, in the dips of the cheeks there, where the cheeks would sort of come in where the mouth and the jaw sort of align there, and coming in under the chin, and I'm putting quite a large shadow under there where her chin would be overlapping her neck as well. So I'm going to finish off these shadow areas now. Also too, you'll notice that I'm flicking my marker, so she kind of looks a little bit like a tiger with lines on her face at the moment, but I'm flicking the marker out to help me blend this out with the next colour, because when I flick, I'm putting pressure on the marker right close to the edge of that shadow area, and then I'm flicking it out. I'm actually releasing the pressure of my marker, and it actually lays down a little bit less color on that last part so that the next color will actually come in nicely and blend over the top. Okay, so now I've done that, I've got E11 here, and I'm just coming over the top of the previous color and extending it a little bit further out. And I'm still using the same kind of motion with flicking the marker out. I'm trying to go over that darker color as much as I can to help sort of smoothly transition the two colors together, and to get rid of the really dark line between those colors. So I'm just going over it until I can get that effect, and I'm also flicking this marker out as well. So because it's a little bit of a lighter color, you can't see that as well as what you can with the darker color, but that is what I'm doing there. So I've just put a couple of marks in on the top of the forehead there because it's not going to look completely smooth and shiny. There'll be indentations and light sort of shadows from all over. So I'm just sort of trying to create a little bit of character in the face to give it more of that real sort of look. So I'm just going to finish off this color, just as I said, going over and smoothing off that previous color. So you can see now that they've actually like melted together, and it's actually created a nice blend between the two. The cheek areas I did a little bit darker, so it does take me a little bit of time sort of to get that to bleed out a little bit more, but that's okay, that happens, so just go over it until you can get that nice smooth blend. So once I'm happy with that layer, I'll come back in with some E21, and I'm just going to go over the top again and bring it a little bit further out. So we're just repeating the same steps. We're just sort of extending those areas now a little bit further out towards the wider part of the page. So each time we put a color on, we're reducing the amount of white on the page, which then gives us that nice blended and smooth look. So I'm just going to continue on here. I'm just going to put a couple of details in the nose and things like that, but I'm just sort of coming over the top of that previous color and blending that out again. So now that I've done that layer, you can really start to see now some depth in the skin, and it's looking a little bit more real and less cartoonish like it did previously. So I guess this is really the start of the transition from being, you know, you could have it as a cartoon if you'd like and do it completely different colors and things like that, but you can make something like that look still quite real by using this technique, or using nice skin colors and doing the hair with some detail and things like that. So I'm going to come in next over the top of this E21 with E00. I'm just sort of trying to lighten off these cheeks a little bit, that darker color underneath the shadow color there. It wasn't blending really too well there, but it does look quite nice now, so I just wanted to go back in and just re-deepen that up. So I've got my E00, and I'm coming in now, and most of this area I'm actually going to cover up. I'm going to leave some slight gaps for where I'm going to leave some more of that lighter color in there, which we will blend out so there won't be a line between the two colors like there is still now. So I'm just coming in and filling in over the top. So I'm probably not putting as much of the color down on the shadow areas, but I'm still going over it to help sort of blend that in a bit as well. So moving on to E000 here, I'm going to go over the remaining areas, and I'm also going to go over the rest of the color that I've already put down. So what we're trying to do now is make sure we've got no defined line between the colors, so we're really transitioning them all together now. I just wanted to sort of point out here too that make sure you are using some sort of marker paper. It doesn't have to be the expensive brand marker paper, but you definitely want something that you can go over with a couple of times without the paper ripping up or tearing up, or it doesn't bleed straight through the paper and you won't be able to blend it. So do make sure that you are using a nice paper. I'm using just a cheaper brand marker paper, which is J Burrows. I get it from, in Australia here, it's in our like Officeworks. I don't know what that is equivalent to in wherever you are, but it's just like a digital graphics paper, I guess, and all we're doing is making sure that the paper holds color and it doesn't just bleed through. So when it holds the color, we can sort of push colors around and blend things in nicely. If it doesn't hold color, it's going to go straight through the page, it's going to get really wet really quickly, and you're going to have trouble blending and having a smooth transition like this. I just want to also point out with what I just said, if that occurs, you're actually going to be wasting your marker ink as well, because you're going to be going over and over things trying to get that nice blend, and that ink you're actually wasting trying to do that. So that's another reason why it's good to get some marker paper specifically, because you don't want to waste those markers. I mean, obviously they're not something cheap, and you want to make sure that you're using it or having value out of what you're actually buying there as well. So just a point there, it is worth buying the better paper for markers, because you will be getting more use out of each marker rather than sort of wasting it on just a normal copy paper, I guess. Okay, so now we've done that, I want to bring in a little bit of colour into the cheeks. I'm going to use some R20 for this. So I'm just going over the shadow areas and coming out towards those lighter areas, sort of using a little bit of a curve shape, I guess, to get the dip of the cheek in there and to brighten up the tops of the cheeks a little bit as well. So I'm just going to come and do that. I'm going to blend this out as well, so we'll just go over this first. And I'm just going to blend it out with that E000 just to smooth off the edges of it so that it's not too defined and it's nice and sort of fuzzy, I guess, on the edges. Just added a little bit on the eyelids there as well. Now you could go in and do another layer. It depends on your paper and how you think it looks at this stage. So for now I'm just going to leave it, and I'm going to go on and do the eyes. So I wanted the eyes to be green, so I've picked some nice green colors to go in there. I've started with G09, which wasn't quite dark enough, so we'll come back in with another darker green just to make those eyelid areas quite dark and deep. So because her eyelashes or lids are covering over her eye at the top there's going to be more of a shadow on that color there, so I did decide to go a little bit darker. I've got some G28, and I've just gone in the top line, and you can see how it's a lot darker now, sort of giving us that shadow effect, I guess. I've got that G09 again just to sort of dab that out a little bit and blend that off so it doesn't look like such a strong defined line. I'm going to blend that out now with G05, and then after that I've got some G02 for the bottom of the eyes there as well. So we're still creating a nice sort of look of deep sort of green eyes by having a highlight section and also having that depth in the back there as well. So with the actual whites of the eyes, we're going to make sure that we put some shadows in there as well. So I've got some C3, and I'm just coming in and lining underneath those areas. Also going over the eye, the green a little bit as well. It helps to deepen up that shadow as well. So we want to create a shadow through there. The whites of the eyes wouldn't just be white. I've got some colorless blender, and I'm just sort of blending that out a little bit. But once I actually did this, it actually got rid of most of that grey. So I do actually actually come back in again and put some more grey over the top, just to get it a little bit stronger in the shadow there. So I'm not doing anything special on this one, just trying to make her look a little bit more natural. So I'm going to do the lips kind of a reddy pink colour. So I've got my R29 and I'm coming in and just doing some shadow areas. So I'm doing the shadow areas on the edges of the lips and also in the middle of the lip and under where the top lip overlaps the bottom lip there. I just got a little bit on the lip, on the top of the lip, so I've just sort of used the colourless blender to push that back in, and I'll just go back over that again with the E000 just to sort of cover over the lighter part of the lip that I've done there. So the colourless blender is really good for making mistakes or going over areas that you don't want to, because you can always push that ink back in towards where you want it to go. So just be careful that it's not, the marker is not too wet, because otherwise you'll get an actual blotch there. So I'm blending out the R29 now with R14, sorry. So just coming over the top of it and just sort of blending it out a little bit further. I'm going to have two sort of round parts on the top lip there, and we'll have a little bit of another sort of curve on the bottom lip there still. Got R22 and I've just filled out the rest of it. I'm going to do another layer just to deepen it up nicely. So it's actually blended that out really well and desaturated it a lot. So coming back in with that R29 and just repeating the same steps. So under the nose there, I felt it was a little bit too light, so I've just gone in and filled in a little bit more colour with that E00 just to sort of give a little bit more depth in there. Now I'm coming in with the rest of the colours for the lips. So I've got that R14 and then R22. Now we're going to do some of the eye areas again. Fill out the rest of the eye areas. Now on the digital image, I guess, what would you call it? Example page on the website, she's actually done the eyelashes like all black on the top here, but I decided I wanted to put some lashes in. So I've actually got an art line fine liner here, and I've just come in and put in my own eyelashes, and it really does make the effect, or make the eyes look kind of more real than just doing it in one black color. So that's why I'm coming in with that now. You could use a black marker. I decided not to use a black marker. My black marker's been not quite right for a while, so I wanted them really dark, and I didn't want to have to go over that, or I didn't want to risk smudging the color out either. So just using this one. I think it was a little bit thick though. I couldn't get some definition between them. I wanted a little bit more definition. I probably should have used a thinner one, but you can go ahead and use anything you want, and you may like to do it as the example is and just color that whole area in black. But yeah, I'm coming in now and doing that. It is sort of hard to get them even a little bit too, so you just got to make sure that you're starting off the lashes in the same area and things like that, so that you are getting a similar look on both sides of the eyes. And you can see there I've also done the pupils of the eye as well, so that really made the eyes really pretty and really stand out. I was really happy with how they looked in the end. So we're going to actually move on and do the hair. So this is what probably would take me the longest, is the hair part. So I'm actually going to try and make it look as real as I can, in saying that it is going to have a pink tone to it. So I don't know, I like different colored hair, so that's why I ended up going with pink. I think red and green are complementary colors, so pink is close to red, and it just kind of came out really nice anyway. So I'm using the E70 colors, and you all may know that I really love these browns. They're my favorite for hair. The good thing about these particular brands is they're kind of a pinky brown, so you could put purple through or pink through, and it actually really looks quite nice with these browns. So I've got E79 and E77, and I'm just filling in the eyebrows first, and then I've got some E74 just to finish them off there, and I've got a little bit of E71 as well, but I'm actually going to bring through some RV95 first, because this is the colour that we're actually going to use in the hair as well. So I wanted to make sure I had a bit of everything from the hair into the eyebrows there. So now I've got that E71 and I'm going over the top of all of that there. So we've done the eyebrows now. So this will be the longest part, as I said. I'm going to go in and I'm going to mark out all of my shadow areas, and I'm going to create some little hair strands from each of my shadow areas as well. So all I'm doing is lining in everywhere that hair is overlapping other hair. So you can see on that front piece there, that top part of the hair was overlapping the bottom part, so I've gone around and put in my shadows like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and line all these in now. So as I go now, I'm going to create some little strands of hair as well. So we're going to fill in some dips and valleys, or sorry, valleys and hills, whatever. We're going to do low and high parts of the hair. So the lower parts of the hair we're going to have darker, so I actually create a darker patch on each strand of hair there to create that dip, and then I do from the other side and bring that back up to create the mountain. So each side is dark and then the middle part is light, which creates that look of a wave. So I'm just going to go ahead and start filling in these areas as well now. And I'm just flicking my marker, just little strokes and flicks out towards that lighter area. Okay, so you can already see there dips and valleys in the hair, so you know where it's going to be shiny or where it's going to be dark. So now we're just going to fill in the colour till we get to that lighter section. So I'm using E77, and I do exactly the same thing as I did with the previous colour, but I go over the top of that darker colour and I make those parts that I flick out a little bit longer. So some of the flicks don't actually fall on exactly on top of other flicks, which is fine. It creates a little bit more texture, and you get a nicer sort of look by doing that as well. So I'm just sort of flicking them out, and you can see that I'm just making them a little bit longer than the previous one, just so that I can bring that up towards that highlight more. Okay, so I've got my E74 now, and I'm going to repeat the same steps. So we're doing exactly the same thing. So this is why the hair takes so long for me to do, because I'm taking my time and I'm using lots of different colors to get that texture through, and doing those little flicks out do take a little bit of extra time as well. So make sure you're taking your time and enjoy the process on this part. It's a little bit mesmerizing and you do get a bit lost doing hair, I think, but yeah, the results are worth it. Okay, so now I'm going to skip out of the E colors and go back to that RV. So I've got RV 95 and I'm going to bring this over the highlighted areas now. So I'm going to try not to go too close to the darker areas because I don't want to desaturate that too much, and I don't want to go over with a second layer at this time. If you were happy to go over with the second layer, then you could go into the shadow areas as well here a little bit more, but because I don't want to spend so much time in those shadow areas, I'm going to try to sort of minimize going over that part as much as I can. We've still got one more color to come in over the top, which is the E71. Okay, so you can see it's got that nice pink look to it now. So I'm coming in with that E71 and I'm just going to do exactly the same thing, come back over those highlighted areas and just put a little bit of this color through as well, just so it's not quite so pink. You could actually stop at that color and just leave it how it was. It looked fine like that as well. So I'm not putting a lot of color on, just a few flicks here and there through there, so that we've got a little bit of texture through there as well. Okay, so we're going to start on the top now. I'm going to use greens similar to what we've used in the eyes, so that it matches up there a little bit. I've got some G29 here. I've actually here had a bit of trouble with my markers, so my G28 and 29, I'm not sure which one it was. One of them was quite sticky. It probably needs a really good clean out, but obviously in the process of doing this I didn't have time. So I've got the G29 by the look of this one, which wasn't so bad. It was the G28 I think that was playing up. But just coming into all of the shadow areas, so I've lined around the neck of the top there with it, and I'm coming underneath the breast area there, and also I'll come under any of the hair areas that are sort of hanging over the top as well, and I'll make sure I put a bit of this underneath that so that we're creating a shadow on those as well. Now technically I probably should have put shadows underneath the lighter part of the frill that I put on, but I actually didn't do that. You don't have to, but you could if you wanted a little bit more depth in there. You could make the frilly area as well. Make sure you put a shadow underneath the hairline as well. So I'm just going to come in and fill that out now, and I'm just coming in now with that G28, and I'm just going over the top and extending that a little bit further out. So it may have been the G29 that was playing up by the look of that. So I've just come back in now with that, but it is a little bit lighter than the G29, so we're just that's why I've decided to sort of extend this a little bit further out, so we can sort of start to create some highlights in the clothes as well. So I've got YG17, and I'm just coming in on the neck area there. That's all I'm going to be putting in. So I've just put that in the rest of that area, and I'm just going to spread this out quite a bit down towards the base or the edge of the top there, just so that we can fill in most of the color now with that. So we've got that YG17. Okay, so we're going to finish off the top with our lightest color now. I'm going to use some YG23, and I'm going to go over the top of the previous color there and just sort of extend it further out towards the edges now. So popping that on all of those highlighted areas, and I'm also going to use this in the frill on the neck there as well. So this is where I was saying I probably could have put a shadow area where the hair lays over it. If you wanted to do that, just go back to that YG17 and make that a little bit darker under the hair areas. So I'm just going to use YG17 and do on either edge of this ribbon part in the middle here. And then we're going to put the darker green into the middle sections there. So I've got G28, and I'm just going in and marking that one out there. So it was quite simple today. There wasn't a lot of detail in this picture, which I really liked. It came together really nicely, and it's really quite simple. So I just wanted something to show you that you could make something that looked a little bit more cartoony at the start into a beautiful, sort of close to a real life looking person. I mean, obviously it still looks colored in, but you get the idea of where I'm coming from. So I'm going to come in and just do the background. I just made the background pink. It kind of went in really well with her hair. I've used RV13 just around this edge part here, and all I'm doing is just flicking my marker out. I wanted a little bit of texture. I didn't want it nice and smooth. I think when we try to make things nice and smooth, it can sort of get really frustrating in large areas like this. So I've done it so that I've created a little bit of texture. So the flicking areas that I've flicked out, I've done in different directions. I'm not sort of fussed in which way it's going because I'm trying to create that textured look. Okay, so I did go around that again just to make it a little bit wider, and I'm going to blend it out now with some RV02, and then I've got some RV00 to go to the final edge parts of that. So I'm just using the color to sort of blend off that previous color a little bit, and as you can see, I'm doing it in lots of different directions to try and get a little bit of texture through there as well. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this section off. Okay, so my marker was actually running out here. You can see by the tip of it that it was looking quite white. So I've swapped over now to the RV00, and I'm just going to finish off the rest of the corners and things like that with that one there. So guys, hopefully you really enjoyed this one. You can come back in them with a gel pen and put in some little sparkly highlighted sections, which I actually didn't do on the finished image. I just didn't get a chance to, but yeah, use some white gel pen and put some little sparkles in the eyes and on the lips and things like that, just to give it a little bit of a shine. But yeah, that's everything that I had to show you today, so hopefully you enjoyed this one, and I really want to thank Jade for giving me the opportunity to colour one of her images. I've got a couple more there that I might do along the way as well. So thanks again, and if you haven't subscribed, please do so. You'll get notifications when I do upload new videos. Thanks guys.